Okay, so after you click go live, you click start.
Yes.
That's a good one for you, Chris.
That's Alan.
Peace, everybody.
Yeah. I like that. So are we doing a march or are we just rallying at the park today?
Well, here's the schedule for today. I'll type it in so you know it.
Well, why don't you say it?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We're going to be gathering here. We gathered at about 3. We started gathering. At 4 o'clock, we're supposed to be having some guest speakers.
Okay.
Okay, let me flip this around. And after the guest speakers, we are supposed to march at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So again, we're going to be gathering here till about 4. We got guest speakers at 4 till 5 o'clock. And then at 5 o'clock, we're going to have a march. I don't know how long the march is going to be, but supposed to be more people coming, I know, for that. So stay tuned.
Well, I wish I didn't have to go to work at 5:30. I thought the march was at 3.
That's Johnny.
You guys are both live streaming?
That's Johnny.
Yeah,
he hates
it.
today. The other day, he took like 105 photographs of me.
Of course it'd be all about you, huh, Chris?
Yeah. It's all about me. It's all about me. Me.
Did I? I don't think I did. No.
I don't know. Remember the table?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, see, now he remembers. But like I said, we should be having guest speakers in about 10-15 minutes. We'll have the guest speakers coming up.
Are you okay with your face? Do you know
But we're here at Occupy San Diego, in case any of you are wondering. This is my friend Landfill. He's from Occupy Tucson. He went up to Occupy Olympia with me. He's a really, really nice guy. I don't care what anybody says about him. The person with his back to us, that's Amir. He's the one that pretty much organized a lot of this. He did a real good job. Hi. They made some caskets for the march over here to show what's going to happen if we do end up in war with Iran. We're going to have more casualties for sure. We already have a lot from the 2 wars that are going on. Are the suckers vegan?
Probably not.
Vegan? Well,
they might have corn syrup in
it. Corn syrup. I'm going to have a sucker. I'm going to have one just because I really believe in the sticker, and I want the sticker on me.
There's no animal product in it.
Right.
But they're not good.
I have the same thing almost, mine just a little bit more. But yeah, it works good.
Yeah.
Yeah, lasts about 8 hours.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
Like I said, if it's really cold, it sucks it dry.
Yeah.
We found that out in D.C. Hey, sweetie. How are you?
We do have another Ustream going and a live stream going today also. And I got a sucker. Hi. So you know it's getting bad when you get old librarian type people coming out and protesting. How are you? Very good. Very good. Having a good time.
That's what it's about.
Yep. Life is short. Let's fix the world. Yeah, I will. The journey's going to be fun. Hi, Jason.
Hey, Chris.
Hi, how about you on? You can put me on, okay? Hi.
Let me turn it on.
Oh, okay. No.
Without it being on. How are you? Okay.
Bagling around the computer.
Right.
Got some people here from Reclaim UCSD. People from UCSD, people from Occupy Tucson. Got a whole crowd over here.
We don't have to, but what do you want to do right now? Oh, man. Let me say what's up. Yo, y'all better come out down to Children's Park. We're collectivizing right now. You know what I'm saying? We're about to get it started. Come on out real soon. Deuces. Peace to my people. Yo, Ray, bring me a box of Newports. I'll holler.
You gonna tell everybody who you are? What you do, man?
Oh, man. You know, I'm a name is Fun Guy. I'm a musician, activist. I work with ASD in the Community Radio Project, KNSJ 89.1 FM. Discancer, y'all know the name. You know, I'm just out here showing my support, and, you know, I'm going to MC the event, and hopefully you'll get a big turnout. And I'm really happy to be here in activism with my brothers and sisters out here, you know what I'm saying, standing up for justice and, you know, making sure that we don't get in this another revolving door war. So, yeah, you know, that's what it is.
Right. Thank you, Fun Guy.
Right,
we
no
love
problem.
you.
For sure, me too, man. You guys too.
Have fun. The suckers were good.
Who's got the little red swatches?
Johnny has some.
Johnny
Yeah.
Gwynn?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, we'll go over and talk, but everybody should know about these little red patches that the students are wearing to show their
Disgust and
high rates of
solidarity
tuition.
for the.
Where is this Johnny character? He's usually all around. His camera's always pointing at us. Oh, he must be on a fire safety break.
That's what I'm thinking.
You want to tell everybody what's going on in Occupy El Barrio?
What's going on? We're preparing for two events. One is a direct action on April 14th. It's called Icebreakers, and it's in solidarity of the legalized racism that's going on right now in Birmingham, Alabama. In preparation of that, there's a tea shout on the 8th called Immigration is a Moral Issue. And it will be a boiled-down version of the 6-week course offered by the Unitarian Universalists, going into everything from why people do migrate to America, to word use, who's undocumented as opposed to using the word illegal, security enforcement, who benefits from private prison industry, who benefits from arresting undocumented individuals, and seeking solutions. And I'm happy to present it. It's going to be me and Hedda from Upcoming Radio, and we're excited.
Yeah, see, I don't use illegal immigrants. I use illegal employers. I like.
Very good. Because no human being is illegal.
No human beings are illegal.
If they get arrested, they're not legal if they get arrested.
Yep, exactly. It's an illegal employer problem we have in this country. These employers are trying to circumvent ways.
People just don't have the privilege of getting the documents, which can take almost up to 10 years.
Exactly.
Yes. Try and educate her.
Thank you. Thank you.
We love you.
We're gonna come over and see how Jane's doing. Listen, when I get a glove, my hand's already getting cold. Here, give me the other hand for a second, so you can hold this one too.
Cool. She's gonna post it
Watch
to
your
the book for me.
Watch your fingers, though. Here, you gotta hold that. There. I just gotta get a glove. My fingers are losing already.
Sweet. No war on Iran. Thank you so much. Yeah. I am now, starting today. No, I've been media for a while. I just haven't learned the live stream, but. I was lazy, I guess. What did you?
I said translate this page.
Oh.
I can't find my other gloves, so let's do it this way today.
Oh, where'd you get the sticker?
Over on they have stickers with suckers over there.
I love that. That's cool.
So.
So we got 3 live streams going.
Yeah, well,
but
we
he's
have
on the OSD page, so that's
streams.
good. Yeah.
We should all get on the OSD page. You can have as many accounts on there as you want.
Oh, I have an account on there, but I can't live stream and Ustream at the same time.
Or
Right?
you can set up a Ustream account or a live stream account.
Yeah.
You can set up 2 Ustream accounts. You can set up 4 Ustream accounts. I mean, it's.
I'm running up.
Hey, Daddy-o. This is Jason. He's our live streamer.
Yeah.
You're on the USD site, right?
Well, I don't know.
OSD.
Yeah. Okay. Just so everybody knows, she's gonna be tweeting out where we are and everything. During the march and stuff.
All right.
We got our logistics over here. A lot of cameras over here, huh? Yeah, we're trying to hide from people.
We won't use your face if you don't want us to.
I will say out loud, I try not to put people's faces on here if they don't want me to, but I don't pay attention too much to that. I really just,
if somebody asks you to, though, you should try not
I do.
to,
Yeah.
you know.
But
they are in a public place.
But
so
the cops have already videotaped everybody enough. I don't think we should worry too much about us videotaping people.
Look at that guy's got a bird on his hat. Check this shit out. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have everybody down here. This is low. I won't show our face. No, we're at your live stream.
Yeah? You guys are live streaming from iPhone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yours is plugged in somewhere.
It's plugged into a battery thing.
Wow.
So it can go for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
You guys are fucking awesome.
Hey, we gotta. The whole world has to be watching. If the news isn't gonna do it, we will do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna end the war on Iraq with us here. We need everyone to get involved.
Seriously.
So even if you're watching, you know.
If you're watching,
you influence people, whether you know it or not. You know, you tell a friend, they tell a friend, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Like if you're home watching right now, go to all your friends on Facebook and post a link. Maybe a couple of them will end up watching also. We can get more influences that way.
Yeah, or just tell them why it's bullshit, why we shouldn't even have a war on Iran.
There's a lot of reasons.
Want to tell everybody why? I know you don't want your face really on it, so I'll keep it over here.
You can pan on the audience and still ask her why, they can hear it.
Mostly because education is being forgotten about. Pretty much that's what hurts me the most.
Yeah.
So much money's going into it. It's ruining our education. Only I think they have that planned.
I think it could be part of the big plan,
Probably part of the
See the picture on that guy's head?
Yeah. Our education system over the last 10 years almost since the Iraq War and Afghanistan War started has gone down drastically.
Right. And it also isn't a good idea to breed the military to where they don't have any feelings.
Yeah. Not to mention the people who come home from war.
Well,
yeah, but they try to breed the good parts of humanity out of them and make them into machines, and they're not machines. And when they come back, it's really hard to assimilate to society because we have no clue what they've been through. We don't want to hear about it, and nobody wants to talk about it. So they end up in a hospital or a veterans, dormitory, basically, and they're just shunted away by society, you know.
Yeah, like the one guy that just shot.
Just walked by.
Looks like Our guest speakers are going to be starting up now. No, good.
I'm glad everybody came out.
Yeah, there you go. And do it.
But I'm going to start fighting.
First speaker is going to be David Gapp.
Testing, 1, 2.
No, go ahead. You guys are good. David, go and get the microphone. There you go.
I got the microphone. Blast you guys right here. That's okay, I'll just camp right here. I'm Dave Gapp. I'm a retired colonel in the Air Force. I spent 31 years in the Air Force. While you're in the Air Force, you're kind of sleepy. You're just kind of doing what you're told to go do in the military, like a lot of us are. I retired 3 years ago, and I became pretty much a full-time activist. And one of the first groups I joined here in San Diego was Veterans for Peace. I'm on the board with Veterans for Peace. We've been heavily involved with Occupy. I've been with Occupy since the first night we started planning here at Children's Park. I see a lot of new friends that I've met, and the struggle will go on. But I joined the Education Committee of Occupy San Diego, and I joined the board of Veterans for Peace, and I became their outreach coordinator because I like to educate. So I'm not going to bore you at all, but I want you to they said I could have 15 minutes, so hopefully I won't go longer than that. But I go to different organizations, and sometimes I'll talk for an hour, hour and a half on the cost of war. So this is kind of the 15-minute version of it. The cost of war is horrible in our country. I realized towards the end of my military career, everything I got in the military was at the expense of what was happening in our country. It was at the expense of building schools. It was at the expense of new roads. It was at the expense of tuition programs for education. It was the expense of health care. I got involved with health care when I first came to San Diego, and I'd been in the military for 30 years, and I had health care programs after getting out. That's ridiculous that is paid for by you and us as taxpayers, but I get great health care, and the rest of the country is left struggling. It's unfair how our resources in this country are devoted to military and militarization and military spending and imperialism. So I just want to, when I go around different groups and talk about the cost of war, I like to personalize it. And the most personal for me is my dad was a pilot and I was a pilot, and my dad was killed in Vietnam, and I was 12 years old, and I was the oldest of 4 kids. And I'll tell you, that changes your life forever. It changed my mother's life. It changed our family's life. She never remarried. But it is an impact that is going on to this day in this country and around the world, because it's not just Americans that are dying. In these 2 wars that have gone on, anywhere from 150,000 conservative estimates to probably close to over 1 million civilians have been killed in Afghanistan and Iraq. But when I talk with people, I keep little clips, and I keep pictures of those that are wounded, and I have displays that I bring around. I didn't want to bring all that stuff today because I'm speaking to an audience that is aware. You are aware. You've seen the pictures. You've gone to different websites. You know the casualties of war. You know the inhumane suffering that's gone on in these countries where American imperialism is alive and well. So what I want you to realize is there are a few things in the statistics. And in Iraq, there were 4,485 casualties. I went to on Veterans Day, I went to City College and spoke at City College. And before me, who spoke was Bob Filner. Bob Filner used to be chairman of the House Veterans Committee, congressman here in the local area. He had no idea how many. He was off by over 1,500 when he said how many deaths had gone on. And this is a guy that is supposedly educated. So you have to realize almost 4,500 of our finest men and women in the country, the average age of that casualty is 26 years old. So the young are dying. The urban are dying, the rural are dying. Nearly 1,300 of them were 22 or younger. I keep clippings in my wallet where there'll be 6 or 7 deaths in a day, and all 6 or all 7 are 21 years old and younger. It's disgusting what we're doing. And you have to realize that is an economic draft. That is a cost of war. On the converse side, 511, so over 10% of them were age 36 plus. I put that in my dad's category. All of those people that were killed left fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, cousins. It's a tremendous burden to be left when your member, a loved one, goes off to war and does not come back home. And I speak from that from personal experience. We've had in Iraq, we've had 1 death so far in 2012. So it's 4486 if you want to look at it that way. The death in 2012, does anybody know where he was from, where he died, where he grew up? See, it's not in the news. This is an educated group I'm talking to, right? You're all educated about the war. We've had 1 death. The war is still going on in Iraq. He was 24-year-old Private Cesar Cortez from Oceanside, California. He was killed February 11th. That's as close as personal as I can get. You have to realize your fellow San Diegans are still dying for American imperialism. 476 of them from Iraq, and the casualties were from California, so over 10%. So California, I'm here to tell you, has the highest, this is personal, California has the highest number of deaths in Iraq and Afghanistan, and has the highest number of wounded for Iraq and Afghanistan. Let me tell you about Jonathan Lee Gifford, age 30. He was killed 2 days into the war. His mother, Vicki Langley from Decatur, Illinois, thinks of her son every day. She says on the first day of kindergarten, when he went off to school, the house was so quiet, she turned on the TVs and radios. So she still has that quietness. She remembers the knock on the door at 11 p.m. that night. Jonathan Gifford left a 4-year-old daughter, Lexi, who's 12 years old now. That's the age I was when my dad was killed. When asked about the end of the Iraq War, that is supposedly over now, thank you, Obama, I'll probably sit and cry. I'm happy for some and sad for others. Army retired Colonel Andrew Basovich, he's a historian, he's a professor of international relations at Boston University. His comment on the end of operations in Iraq: seldom in the course of human history have so many sacrificed so dearly to achieve so little. His son, an Army captain, was killed in May of 07 in Iraq. So jumping over to Afghanistan, the war that still continues under our illustrious President Obama. When he took office in January of 2009, we had 30,000 troops over in Afghanistan. How many do we have now? Has he reduced our troops in Afghanistan? Has he been bringing them home? No. We have close to 100,000. It ranges in the 95 to 100,000 range. They're talking now about removing some of the surge, taking it down to only 68,000 troops, and we'll leave 68,000 there indefinitely. Who knows? We've had, when Obama took office, there were 650 in basically 8 years from 01 to 09. In 8 years of war, we had lost 650 U.S. soldiers, sailors, and airmen. Anyone want to take a guess now? You know, Obama's been in office for 3.5 years. 1,915. So we're approaching 2,000 now. You know, it's tripled, more than tripled. under Obama. We, again, to personalize a little bit, because I'm going to go into some other things here in a minute, I've been concentrating on U.S. It's not just the U.S. That is struggling and over there and sacrificing their young. Just this month, March, up till today, the U.S. has lost 9 soldiers and Marines and airmen. There was 1 airman. In Afghanistan, 9. The UK has lost 7. Turkey has lost 12. 2 of those soldiers were 19 years of age. 3 of them were 20, and 3 of them were 21. So that's 8 people, 21 years and younger, of just that group of, quick math here, approximately 30, not quite 30 people. So the cost of war also to our country is in the lives of the wounded that are changed forever. I have photos that I bring to these speeches to show the mothers and brothers and sons that have given up careers, because there are sons. There's a lot of older people over in the war, permanently disabled too, and they come back and they need continuing care. We've had 33,000 serious injuries in Iraq and approximately half that in Afghanistan. These serious injuries include a couple thousand amputations. There can be argued by a lot of people that really we've had 1 million people deployed over there. And the VA's estimates are anywhere from 30 to 40% end up with psychological disorders, PTSD, traumatic brain injury. So another way of looking at it, and this is how we look at it with Veterans for Peace, if we've had 1 million people go over to deploy over to the wars, then we've had 1 million people come back with their lives changed. My life was changed somewhat from coming back, but I was glad to come back, and I wasn't real happy to go, but when I went, as many of you here have done. So I know I've talked about Americans here a little bit, sure, but really it's the civilians that suffer most. The civilians that have suffered over there, nobody remembers the 3 million killed in the Korean War. Nobody remembers the Vietnamese War, approximately 2 to almost 4 million, the estimates. Cambodia, 600,000 to 800,000 deaths. Laos, approximately 1 million. There's multiple studies out there. The Lancet study shows 700,000 to 800,000 lives lost just in Iraq alone. The official Iraq body count organization has approximately 115,000, and those are specific injuries that happened in the newspapers in Iraq. I have not seen the estimates for Afghanistan, but it's got to be hundreds of thousands. Real quick, I just wanted to finish with cost of war. Our country is just spending obscene amounts of money. The baseline defense budget has been about $6 billion since 2001. Remember, in 2001, our deficit was $5 trillion. Our deficit now is over $15 trillion. How did we get there? We spent approximately $6 trillion on the baseline DOD budget. We spent $1.3 trillion on these wars. 2/3 of it went to Iraq, 1/3 went to Afghanistan. We've spent about almost $700 billion on Department of Homeland Security. Now, I'm going to ask you all here, after approximately $8.5 billion have been spent in the last 11 years, do any of you feel any safer? No. I sure as hell don't. And just so you can see, where this money goes to, I'll do a visual illustration here, but President Eisenhower said, every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fired signifies in the final sense a theft from those who hunger and are not fed, those who are cold and are not clothed. Let's stop the theft. This is the military amounts. You can come and look and see the rest of the minor amounts spent. This is the DOD budget. And I just want to close with the last thing. The cost to our society is tremendous. I'll keep this around here. Those of you, some of you have probably seen it. The U.S., the OECD did a study, and basically lots of different categories, but the overall social justice rating for the U.S., we are in the bottom 5. The overall poverty rating, we are in the bottom 5. The overall poverty rate, we are in the bottom 5. And the child poverty rate, we are in the bottom 5. And the income inequality, we are in the bottom 5. So we are number 27. You always hear USA is number 1, right? Not so fast. We're number 27 out of the 31 countries in the OECD. behind above Greece, Chile, Mexico, and Turkey. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I hope you take some of that to heart with you. Our country's future is being robbed by these wars, and the neocons and the AIPACs and the lobbyists out there are lobbying for another war on Iran right now. They're using the same playbook, and I don't have to tell you all the playbook. They're telling us right now that that Iran has weapons of mass destruction, right? They're telling us right now that the sanctions are not working, right? They're telling us that Iran is a threat to its neighbors, right? Okay, you've all seen the poster out there of the military bases that are surrounding Iran. Who is threatening who? No war on Iran. No war on Iran. No war on Iran. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, I'll use this damn thing. We're good. All right, so next up, we're going to have Ann Hoiberg, and she represents, oh, sorry, I need to make a quick announcement. The statements being passed around with the anti-war proposal have not been adopted yet and will be up for vote tonight at the GA at the Federal Building at 7 o'clock. So just to let you know that's what's going on. Yeah. Okay, next up is Ann Hoiberg from the International Museum for Human Rights, and she's awesome. Here you go.
Thank you very much. A wise, brave woman once said that we need 1,000 reasons before we go to war.
Please.
How many reasons did we have before we went into Afghanistan? 2. Osama and also the Al-Qaeda. How many reasons did we have before we went into Iraq? We had 1. Weapons of mass destruction. I'm saying we need to have at least 1,000 reasons. However, I can give 1,000,000 reasons why we should never, ever go to war. And those 1,000,000 reasons are the millions of women and children who have been destroyed by war. They've been killed, injured, raped, and they suffer all from post-traumatic stress disorder. In my minutes with you, I really want to talk about the sexual abuse of women and children, and I'll start with World War II. The Japanese government forced 200,000 women into becoming comfort women to service Japanese military personnel. Here in San Diego, one of those surviving comfort women came and spoke to us at the Institute for Peace and Justice. She wept 60 years later as she told about the atrocities and the brutality that she experienced. If we look further at Germany, when the Russians marched into Germany at the end of World War II, that night 20,000 women were raped. A friend of mine was one of those women. She is among the millions of the walking wounded, the survivors of war. Well, what happened during the Korean War? Well, at the end of the Korean War, we had more than 30,000 troops there, and to provide sexual needs for those men, brothels were set up in 70 different red light districts. Now, the Korean government is trying to shut down those red light districts. Our troops are still there. And now they're trafficking women into Korea to serve as prostitutes to service those men. Now, the Vietnam was interesting because the Secretary of Defense went to Thailand, and he said that he wanted to provide R&R for men who were serving in Vietnam. Now, I foolishly thought that he meant that there should be tours of the temples in Thailand, but that's not exactly what those furloughs were to entail. Brothels were set up in Thailand. It has now become one of the largest sex tourism industries in the world. So we can thank our Department of Defense for creating the sex industry in Thailand. But we can also look to Cambodia. Cambodia is also a sex tourism country, which grew out of the Vietnam War. And we can even look farther. If we look at what's been going on in the Philippines during the Vietnam era, as many as 55,000 women worked as prostitutes, servicing at least 10,000 men per night. When the Philippines finally told the U.S. to leave, we shut down Clark Air Force Base in Subic Bay. And that was the end of our 50-year occupation of the Philippines, but it left 50,000 children who were born to servicemen who had been in Japan. Now, the Bosnian War, which ended in 1995, resulted in 40,000 women being raped during that particular war. And I was fortunate to meet a woman who was a judge, and she had been raped repeatedly in one of the rape camps in Bosnia. And again, she wept and wept as she told of the atrocities that she had to endure. Now, at the end of the Bosnian War, there were a lot of NATO troops there, as well as private contractors. And one of the U.S. contractors, DynCorp, was asked to supply police officers to do training in Bosnia. Well, those men immediately, those private contractors, immediately set up brothels and were starting to bring in women from other countries, trafficking women in. 2 of those men were finally brought back to the United States because they were starting to sell women who were trafficked into Bosnia. Now, speaking of DynCorp, this is probably one of the worst of the private contractors, along with Halliburton and Blackwater and the subsidiaries of those contractors. DynCorp is also in Afghanistan, and they were providing dancing boys to Afghan officials. Apparently, some Afghan men love to have sex with boys, and so DynCorp was providing them with dancing boys, many of whom have even been killed. So moving on to Africa, we know that there have been 600,000 women raped during the Rwandan genocide. Of course, in Sierra Leone, 64,000 women and girls were raped. Many were also mutilated. In the Congo, where 5 million people have been killed, as many as 1,200 women and girls are raped every day, and this continues. In Darfur, 40% of the women interviewed said they had been raped. And of course, we can even look at the Palestinian occupied territories, which has been going on now for 64 years. What is going on in this world with all these wars, these occupations, the brutalization of women and children? Well, we also look at the Iraq War, where as many as 1.6 million Iraqis fled to Syria. Can you imagine? 1.6 million people fled to Syria, and now what are they facing in Syria? And again, women have been forced into prostitution just to be sure to supply their families with food. Other Iraqis fled to Jordan, and again, women have had to work as prostitutes to support their families. When I was in Iraq in 2004, I had the fortune of talking with a teenager, and she said to me, "Is it true that in the United States that in order for some young people to go to college, they have to join the army and learn to kill?" She said, "Is that what America's all about? You have to learn to kill so you can go to college?" What could I say? I said, yes, that's true. I worried about that teenager, and I asked her mother, I said, "What's going to happen? You have 2 beautiful teenage girls." She said, "Oh, we'll never leave Iraq, but I recently heard that they're now living in Spain." There was no way that those 2 beautiful girls would survive. I also worried about a translator I met there. Her father would drive her to the green zone every day, a different route, a different time. Is that beautiful 22-year-old still alive? And what about all the translators? And what about the 40,000 women who have been reported disappeared in Iraq? And what about the drastic increase in honor killings? And what about the poor widows who have to engage in temporary marriages just to survive. I met a woman there, an extremely feisty woman, and she said, I'm going to sue the U.S. government. I'm going to sue them for $1 billion. They've been engaging in an illegal war, an unsanctioned war in Iraq, and I'm going to use that $1 billion to give back the futures to the women and girls who suffered so much in Iraq. Those horrible 8 years. So let's just look at what's going on with women who serve in our U.S. military or as a private contractor. In 1991, approximately 41,000 women served in the combat zone during Operation Desert Storm, and 16 women died. More than 250,000 women have been deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan during the past decade. At least 800 service women have been wounded or died in Iraq and Afghanistan since 2001. Their jobs have been incredibly dangerous, and as we all know, women don't make as much money as men, but even if you're in the military, women cannot get combat pay, and they're serving in combat. I mean, it's again, another act of injustice foisted on women. 1 out of 4 women, or about 22% of veterans, report that they have experienced military sexual trauma. And this is a percentage that is probably much higher. It's probably pushing 40%. And at least 24 women private contractors have been gang raped, and they have they will never have a day in court because of the contracts that they signed with these contractors. Now, if we look closer at San Diego, here in San Diego, we have about 20,000 cases reported of domestic violence. And what city in our country, in our county, has the highest percentage of domestic violence cases? It's Oceanside. It's head and shoulders above any of our other cities. And again, that's related to being part of the military. And finally, 98% of all persons who experience war suffer from some form of post-traumatic stress disorder. Even someone like myself who was in Bosnia and I was registering people to vote. When I returned home, I really did suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. I can cry just like that, and I'm sure it's related to the fact that I saw the remnants of war. How can you accept the fact that people can destroy a total village? How can you accept the fact that people can just bomb or shell apartment buildings and cities? How did Sarajevo ever survive snipers firing daily? Well, more important, I worked and lived with the human remnants of that horrible war, the survivors, all of whom suffer with extreme sadness. How do you overcome that? So to those hawks back in Washington or in Israel who want to bomb Iran, all I can say is, shame on you.
Shame. Shame.
And better yet, just give us 1,000 reasons or 1,000,000 reasons for ever justifying going into Iran.
Yeah. No war in Iran.
All right, that was Ann Hoienberg from the International Museum for Human Rights. Thank you, Ann. Awesome. Next up is going to be Aria Fani. He's a student activist. Yes, here you go. All right, he's from Berkeley. Give him a big round of applause. All right.
Oh, we got big guns from Berkeley coming in.
I have quite a transition to make with poetry. As Americans, we may think that poetry is irrelevant and pointless, an elitist pursuit for the educated. Yet in many parts of the world, poetry is the most important art form. Its composition and recitation has been and continues to be the most highly prized and widely practiced art form among the people of the Middle East, of all walks of life, both literate and illiterate. an integral part of social movements worldwide. Defiant and furious lyrics condemn every form of injustice, while changing the vocabulary of armed struggle with non-violence resistance and cultural resilience, replacing the slogan, "Where is my gun?" with "Where is my voice?" The poems that we will be reading have been originally written in Persian, Arabic, and Urdu by poets from Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Palestine, and Pakistan. May the rich sonic landscape shake the foundation of this military village and humanize nations that have been demonized. Faz Ahmad Faz, poet of Pakistan. You who wear shirts ripped at the collars, it has come, the great calm with its harvest of silence. All lips have been sown, perhaps some wounds also. And rebels, my friends, fill your vases with water, for spring is here. In this blossoming of wounds, some roses may also. Ahmad Shamlu, Iranian poet. If only freedom could sing a song, small as the throat of a bird, no wall would have remained wrecked anywhere. No, we would not have to waste so many years, realizing that every ruin signifies the absence of man, that the presence of man is prosperity, like a wound dripping serum, all through life, like a wound pulsating with a dry pain, all through life having been born with a cry in a hatred turning on itself. Thus was the great absence. Thus was the story of the ruin. If only freedom could sing a song smaller, smaller even than the throat of a bird. Faiqa Jawad Muhajir, Afghan poet, for Kabul. My warm, skyless city, I am filled with love, filled with moonlight. May the night fill your wasteland of calm, and may your nights fill all of eternity. Your knees drained of vigor, your anguish burning burns me. My exalted love, I know you, you're all my worth. Give me your hard, clasped hand, give me your hand, my love. Come, rise, you can. Mahmoud Darwish, Palestinian. I walk as if I were another, and my wound a white biblical rose, and my hands like two doves on the cross hovering and carrying the earth. I don't walk, I fly, I become another, transfigured, no place and no time. So who am I? I am no in ascension's presence. But I think to myself, alone, the Prophet Muhammad spoke classical Arabic. And then what? Then what? A woman soldier shouted, "Is that you again? Didn't I kill you?" I said, "You killed me, and I forgot, like you, to die." Saadi Yusuf, Iraqi. God save America, my home sweet home. We are not hostages, America, and your soldiers are not God's soldiers. We are the poor ones. Ours is the earth of the drowned gods, the gods of bulls, the gods of fires, the gods of sorrows that intertwined clay and blood in a song. We are the poor. Ours is the God of the poor, who emerges out of farmers' ribs, hungry and bright, and raises heads up high. America, we're the dead. Let your soldiers come. Whoever kills a man, let him resurrect him. We are the drowned ones, dear lady. We are the drowned. Let the water come.
Last speaker is Martin from Activist San Diego. He's going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit. Give it up.
love all of you for being here, for being the voice of conscience in a world and a country gone mad. And my heart particularly goes out to the Persian brothers and sisters who are here, to the Iranians who are here in solidarity, or we with them, and the kind of victimization of other countries by the military might of the United States. So there is also outrage, I guess, that I feel. The outrage that our country feels its obligation to terrorize the rest of the world and to dictate to the rest of the world who can and cannot have power, who can wield, who can have democracy, and how that democracy can be expressed. And a willingness to say, as a country with more nuclear armaments than any other on the planet, that another country dare not have even one nuclear bomb, because that would be a danger to civilization. That's the kind of inequality that is represented by the 1% and the 99%. The 1% of the world which seeks to dictate and to dominate the rest of the 99% and to see it as subservient. Apparently there's a new movie out today called Hunger Games, and I probably know less about it than most of you. But the little that I heard about it was, the thesis is that in some brave new after-apocalyptic world, the government offers up and sacrifices young people to battle to the death, to show that the rest of the population, that they need to be subservient. And on my way over here, I said, damn, that's the U.S. military. That's what they've been doing to us for generations, sending one group of young people over there to batter to the death another group of young people, to offer them up and to say to the rest of you, you had better be silent. You had better not organize. You had better keep in your place, because we can obliterate you. We can offer up you sacrificially. One young group of people killing another. Iraqis or Iranians or Afghani youth are not our enemy. They are our friends. They are our beloved. They are part of this planet. And we have to share that love, and we have to listen to that pain. And I thank David for not just remembering the dead on our side as we did in Vietnam, that 55,000 Americans died. And we are oblivious. The American people have no idea that millions of people were sacrificed on that other. The thing that turned me from an apathetic student into a revolutionary was the idea that our country could carpet bomb, could fly B-52s, wing to wing, and carpet bomb another country, dropping as many bombs on Vietnam as were dropped in all of World War II by all sides. And the American people were complicit in that death and that destruction, that genocide of another people. I wanted to say just a little bit about Trayvon Martin. We've got some flyers. We met with some students last night who are standing up, and they're going to be in Balboa Park at 11 o'clock next Friday. We ought to be out there with them. In City Heights tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and at World Beat Center at 5 on Monday. And we may ask, so what does Trayvon Martin have to do with war? in Iraq or Iran or Afghanistan. It's racial profiling. We do not bomb and devastate people who look like us and talk like us. But there is a blind spot in the American consciousness that allows us to devastate other peoples of color internally to our own country and externally. And that has got to end. That white supremacist ideology that sees ourselves above the rest, superior, that is the ideology of the 1%. That is the ideology that allows that 1% to divide and conquer us and leave us fighting and squabbling, disunified, even within the Occupy movement, even within the left and the peace movement. We have got to unify. We have got to be one. We have got to work together in all of our diversity to love each other and bring this system down. Thank you.
Right on. That's words of truth right there. Unity, solidarity, one.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you. Our next speaker is Nori from Women's Occupy, and she will be blessing us. Thank you very much. Give it up for Nori.
Hi, I want to offer us a prayer in Kumeyaay. We're standing here on Kumeyaay land. I'm sure some of you know that. When the white people came here, they found that this land was really beautiful, and they said, oh, it was just pristine, but it was more than pristine. It was land that people took care of for 10,000 years, and then Menchish came and changed all of it and brought this whole concept of war and going someplace else to kill other people, just as they killed the Kumeyaay people when they showed up here. But I don't want to talk about that. I want to give us a blessing in Kumeyaay because it's a beautiful day and it's beautiful land. So, Mayaha, the Creator, Ohai, we thank you. Mayaha, the sky, Ohai. Enya, the sun, Ohai, we thank you. Eel, the trees, Ohai. Asha, the birds, Ohai. The grass, Samai, Kipshu, Ohai. Ipai, the people, Ohai. Mayaha, Ohai. Thank you.
Thank you, Nori. Thank you. We're going to give it up for all the speakers who got on the mic. They spoke very eloquently. Thank you, guys, for standing up. I'm going to open the mic up. We have a little bit of time before 5 o'clock. Anybody have anything to say that they would like to do or say or sing or do whatever? 15 minutes we have. Anybody? Oh, we have one. Here we go. Give it up for this, I don't know her name. Grandma Kay, for sure.
Two friends of mine that I work with have sons in Afghanistan. And I heard they were laying off our troops, trying to make it look like, oh, we're not a violent nation. But I just want to let you guys know that NATO is going to our kids in the Middle East and asking them if they want to join the NATO peacekeeping forces. So even if the United States doesn't go in, everybody knows we're the world's police, and NATO is recruiting our kids. And there's got to be some kind of implications there, and that's all I want to say. God bless you guys. Peace.
Some of you know me. I'm one of two Australians in the group. The other is sitting over there, she's my wife. I also have citizenship in this country and citizenship in the UK, where I was born. Just a few facts. The American military are now on every continent, including Antarctica. They have been in Britain since 1943. That's the year that I was born. They have been in Europe since D-Day 1944, the 6th of June. They're still there. They have been in Vietnam, they have been in Korea, they have been in many other countries in the world, and they're still there. Now, some have come home. Some people, like Dave Gapp, he's come back. Others that I know, who aren't here today, friends of mine, have served in various countries, and they're back here. But the American presence is still there. There are troops today in what I consider to be my home country, Australia. Why are they there? Australia's not at war with America. Why the hell are they there? And this is one of those times that I agree, even though I am an American citizen as well. This is one of those times that I agree with the statement that used to be all around the place. Yankee, go home.
Well, I would just like to express my frustration that America's getting ready to go to war with Iran when Iran didn't do anything to them. When they told us that when 9/11 happened and we found out that 9/11 was a lie and it was actually an inside job, we found out that that was one lie. When we went into the war in Iraq, which was supposed to be quote-unquote 2 weeks, and it lasted for practically 9 years! Almost 9 years! And so many people of our daughters and sons and our people have died for nothing, and they lied. Oh, and Bush lied and said, oh, it was weapons of mass destruction. When we found out, oh, there was no weapons of mass destruction after all. That was the next lie. Now we're getting ready to go to war with Iran because they say, oh, Iran has a nuclear weapon or they're some kind of dangerous foreign enemy. We're going to go to war with them? Hello, have you heard the saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Well, I say fool me thrice, but you a damn fool. No war in Iran!
I too love the value of poetry and all of our writers who have come out and proved that the pen can be mightier than the sword by sharing consciousness of how fucked all these wars are. So first, the opening lines of a poem from William Blake. He says, "Oh for a voice like thunder and a tongue to drown the throat of war." So I'm praying for that for all of us. May we all have a voice like thunder and a tongue to drown the throat of war. And Kurt Vonnegut, one of my favorite writers of all time, who was in World War II, he opened Slaughterhouse-Five by saying that his father told him that he never wrote a book with a villain in it. And he said, that's something that I learned in college after the war. And I thought that was pretty powerful, to come back from a war learning that there's no such thing as villains. And he also said of the war in Iraq that the Vietnam War made billionaires out of millionaires. This war is making trillionaires out of billionaires. Now that's what I call progress. Let's fight that kind of progress. Thank you.
So hopefully none of you know me. And I guess you're all part of the 99%. And there's a 1% out there. Back in the Vietnam War, it took 4% to stop it. So maybe we should find the 4% again. In the 80s, if you forget history, you're doomed to repeat it. So in the 80s, the federal government figured out a real neat thing to do. That was to get rid of the draft so that everybody here would not have to worry about becoming cannon fodder. And they created a professional military, which we all get to now pay for, and we have absolutely no control of it. So if we brought back the draft, you would invest millions of Americans with a reason not to have a war. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, everybody, for speaking. Everybody get ready to march. I guess we're going to leave soon here. It's 4:52, so we got about 8 minutes. Mingle, do your thing, meet each other, greet each other.
Well, I'm gonna go down for a minute and save this recording.
Can I give you this?